Let me ask you something. How many times have you laid awake at night, running over the same thoughts in your head, over and over like a broken record, until exhaustion wins, and yet sleep feels like a distant dream? That's the life of an overthinker. You're not just thinking, you're living in a battlefield of your own mind. Overthinking is like a mental prison. You're both the prisoner, locked behind the bars of your doubts, and the guard, holding the key yet refusing to use it. You keep replaying conversations, imagining scenarios, and questioning your every move. Why? Because you're chasing perfection and fearing failure all at once. The truth is, overthinkers live in two timelines: the past and the future. They regret what they can't change and fear what they can't predict. But here's the catch: you're neglecting the only timeline that matters, the present. And in doing so, you're robbing yourself of peace, clarity, and joy. You see, suffering comes when we focus more on the problem than the solution. An overthinker can take a tiny spark, a small doubt, a harmless comment, and turn it into a wildfire of anxiety. You think you're being careful, but really you're being consumed. Life isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting the process and learning as you go. Freedom from overthinking starts when you accept that you can't control everything. You can't rewrite the past or predict the future, but you can control how you respond. The mind is a powerful tool, but it's also a dangerous master. Don't let it lead you into unnecessary suffering. Instead, train your mind to work for you, not against you. Trust yourself. Trust that what's meant to be will find its way to you. And when the doubts come, remind yourself you are more than your thoughts. Because at the end of the day, peace isn't found in having all the answers. Peace is found when you stop demanding them. Let go and watch how much lighter your life becomes. Overthinking is like a mental prison. What does that really mean? Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're locked in a small, confined space with no way out. The walls are closing in, and your mind races, bouncing from thought to thought, from worry to worry. You're pacing, but you're not getting anywhere. You're stuck in the same loop, in the same cell, constantly rehashing the same events, the same mistakes, the same possibilities that could happen. That's what overthinking does. It traps you. It locks you inside your own mind. And here's the thing: you hold the key to the door, but you don't know how to use it, or maybe you're too afraid to unlock it. You're trapped, but you're the one who's doing the locking and the keeping. When you overthink, your mind doesn't work in a linear way. It doesn't take you forward or get you closer to a solution. Instead, it takes you in circles, back and forth between past regrets and future anxieties. The more you dwell, the smaller your world becomes. Every new thought seems to tighten the walls around you, and you feel suffocated by the sheer weight of all your worries. But here's the hard truth: overthinking isn't just a habit. It's a choice to keep yourself confined in a mental prison that you created. You're not physically imprisoned, but mentally you are. The bars are your own doubts. The chains are the what-ifs you can't shake. And even though you have the power to break free, you've been conditioned to stay inside, thinking that if you analyze enough, if you think hard enough, you'll somehow find a way out. But that's the illusion. The more you analyze, the deeper into that prison you fall. The mental prison of overthinking keeps you from moving forward. It keeps you stuck in analysis paralysis, unable to make decisions, unable to act. You second-guess everything. You over-examine every word spoken, every step you take, and as a result, nothing ever gets done. You're not free to live. You're simply existing within the confines of your own mind. And just like any prison, overthinking feeds on itself. The more you stay in the cell, the harder it is to get out. You get trapped in a cycle where your thoughts become your jailers, telling you that you're not good enough, or that something's going to go wrong, or that you're somehow unprepared for life. And the harder you fight, the stronger those thoughts become, until it feels like there's no escape. But here's the beauty of it: just like in a real prison, you can escape. You can walk out of this mental jail. You have the power to take control, to change the way you respond to your thoughts. It begins with recognizing that you have the key all along. You don't need to keep yourself locked away. You just need to decide to walk out. So stop pacing in that prison. Stop letting your mind dictate your life. Break free from the cycle of overthinking and live with intention, with purpose, and with peace. It's time to let go of the walls you built around yourself. Your freedom is waiting on the other side. Fear of failure and the need for perfection are like gasoline to the fire of overthinking. When you're afraid to fail, your mind becomes a battleground, constantly running through every possible outcome, every possible mistake, every what if that could go wrong. You start to obsess over every detail, thinking that if you just get everything perfect, then you'll be safe, then you'll avoid the pain of failure. But here's the problem: the more you fear failure, the more you give power to the very thing you want to avoid. You paralyze yourself with doubt, replaying every scenario in your head, wondering what could go wrong, wondering if you'll measure up. The fear grows with every thought, and the deeper you go into that rabbit hole, the more you lose sight of your own ability to succeed. Perfectionism ties into this, feeding the fear. When you set impossibly high standards for yourself, you're setting yourself up to overthink every decision, every action, every word. The pressure to make everything flawless becomes overwhelming. You start second-guessing yourself because you're terrified that one mistake, one misstep could destroy everything you've worked for or damage your image. The pursuit of perfection becomes a trap, a cycle where nothing is ever good enough. You overthink not because you want to, but because you feel that if something isn't perfect, it's wrong. You examine every detail until it becomes distorted, until you lose sight of what really matters: the progress you're making, the effort you're putting in, the courage it takes to move forward, despite the fear. This combination of fearing failure and craving perfection is suffocating. It keeps you stuck in your head, paralyzed by all the possible mistakes, all the potential criticisms, and all the expectations you've placed on yourself. Instead of acting, you think too much. Instead of moving forward, you retreat because you're convinced that one wrong move could shatter everything. And in doing so, you lose the freedom to be imperfect, to make mistakes, and to grow. You forget that failure isn't the end, it's just part of the journey. You forget that perfection doesn't exist. It's an illusion, a standard that no one can ever truly meet. The more you strive for it, the more you trap yourself in a cycle of overthinking, never feeling ready enough to take the next step. The truth is, fear and perfectionism don't protect you. They only hold you back. They prevent you from living fully, from taking risks, from showing up as your real self. They turn every opportunity into a hurdle, every choice into a decision you feel you might get wrong. And in that, you rob yourself of growth, because growth isn't about being perfect, it's about taking action, learning from the mistakes, and allowing yourself the grace to keep going. The more you hold on to the need for perfection and fear failure, the more trapped you become in the cycle of overthinking, unable to move forward with confidence or clarity. Overthinkers are often prisoners of time, but the irony is that they're stuck in two places at once: the past and the future, and in doing so, they neglect the only place where life is truly happening, the present moment. The past is like a reel that never stops playing in their minds, showing them every mistake, every conversation, every decision they wish they could rewrite. They obsess over what they should have said, what they could have done differently, what they missed, as if replaying those moments will somehow change the outcome. They twist themselves in knots trying to figure out where they went wrong, hoping that if they analyze it enough, they can find a way to make it right. But the truth is, the past is gone. No amount of overthinking will alter the decisions made or erase the actions taken. The more time spent there, the less time they have to move forward, and that constant dwelling holds them back from the freedom to learn, grow, and evolve. At the same time, overthinkers project themselves into the future, imagining all the things that could go wrong, all the obstacles that might come their way. They create these mental scenarios where everything is a worst-case outcome. They're preparing for battles that may never come, worrying about the things they can't control, and in doing so, they sacrifice their peace and energy today. The future remains a distant, unpredictable force. Yet overthinkers try to control it by predicting every move, every decision, as if they can somehow safeguard themselves from the unknown. But no one knows what the future holds. It's fluid, it's uncertain, and trying to map out every possible outcome is like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. And while all this is happening, the endless replaying of the past, the constant worrying about the future life moves on without them. The present moment, the only time where they have any real power, slips by unnoticed. In their mental noise, they miss the beauty of what's happening right now, the conversation they're having, the experience they're living, the opportunities unfolding before them. They're too busy thinking about what they should have done or what they think might happen to fully appreciate what is actually happening. Overthinking in this way becomes a distraction, a way to avoid the discomfort of uncertainty or the pain of facing the present as it is. But the present is where real life is happening. It's the only place where we can truly make a difference, where we can act, where we can connect, where we can create. But overthinkers are so tangled in the past and future that they forget that today, the now, is where the power lies. The more they fixate on what's already been done or what might happen, the less they're able to engage with what's in front of them. They rob themselves of the opportunity to enjoy the journey, to take real action, and to live with intention. The past can't be changed, and the future will unfold as it will. The only thing they have control over is this moment, the present, and that's where the real power is. It's in the present where they can choose to let go of regret, where they can stop worrying about things that haven't even happened yet, and where they can start to take meaningful steps toward the life they want. If they want to break free from the prison of overthinking, they have to learn to stop looking back and stop trying to predict every step of the road ahead. They need to embrace the now, because the present is all they've got, and it's the only moment where true change can happen. Suffering begins the moment you shift your focus from solutions to problems. It's as though you've made the decision to get stuck in a swamp of difficulty, while the path to dry land is within reach. Overthinkers, in particular, are experts at amplifying their problems. They shine a spotlight on every issue, no matter how small, and examine it from every angle. They dissect it, they relive it, and they constantly ask, why me? Why now? But here's the harsh reality: the more you focus on the problem, the more it grows. You give it power by feeding it your attention and energy. You become consumed by the challenge in front of you. And instead of finding a way out, you spiral deeper into your own mind, unable to see the solution clearly. When you focus on problems, you essentially freeze yourself in place. It's easy to get caught in a cycle of frustration, because the more you obsess over what's wrong, the less you're able to think about what's right. Your mind gets stuck in a loop of negativity, playing the same problem over and over until it feels like there's no way out. You forget that problems are a part of life, they don't define you, and they're not meant to keep you trapped. But the longer you focus on the problem itself, the more you allow it to take root in your life, overshadowing everything else. On the other hand, when you focus on solutions, everything shifts. You start to see a way out. Instead of getting stuck in the maze of what's wrong, you begin looking for doors, for paths you can take to move forward. Solutions aren't always immediate or easy, but when you focus on them, your mind becomes clear and you empower yourself to take action. Solutions force you to step outside of the problem. They challenge you to ask, how can I make this work? What can I do next? When you turn your attention to finding a solution, the problem no longer has the power to overwhelm you. The more you dwell on problems, the more weight they carry in your life. They begin to dictate your emotions, your behavior, and even your identity. But when you shift your focus to solutions, you begin to feel lighter. You stop being defined by what's wrong and start being driven by the possibilities of what can be. Solutions empower you. They give you control over your circumstances rather than letting your circumstances control you. Even if the solution isn't perfect, taking action toward it allows you to move forward, to feel progress, and to take ownership of your situation. Suffering is not just about the problems you face, it's about how much attention and energy you give to them. By focusing on solutions, you free yourself from that mental prison. Instead of living in the frustration and despair of problems, you begin to thrive in the possibility of finding a way out. The key is to stop letting problems define your narrative. Shift your focus and watch how quickly the suffering fades away. The mind of an overthinker is like a magnifying glass that takes the smallest of sparks and amplifies it until it becomes an uncontrollable wildfire of doubt. It starts with a fleeting thought, a tiny worry, a small uncertainty, and before you know it, that little spark has been blown out of proportion. What was once a simple, passing concern now feels like the end of the world. The overthinker begins to imagine every possible scenario, every worst-case outcome, until the mind spirals, turning something insignificant into a massive, overwhelming source of fear and doubt. In the beginning, it's just a spark. Maybe it's a comment someone made, an unanswered text, or a simple misstep in a conversation. It could be something so small, most people wouldn't even notice it. But for an overthinker, this spark triggers a mental wildfire. They replay the incident over and over, picking apart every detail, imagining all the things that could go wrong, all the ways they might have offended someone or messed up. Each time they think about it, they add more fuel to the fire, stoking the flames of doubt higher and higher until the original spark no longer seems so small. It's no longer just a minor thing, it becomes an existential crisis in their mind, a catastrophe that consumes all their thoughts. What happens here is that the overthinker loses perspective. They get so caught up in their own thoughts that they forget how to see things clearly. They get trapped in an echo chamber of doubt, where every thought feeds into the next, and the cycle grows stronger with every turn. One small concern expands into an overwhelming sense of uncertainty, and what could have been resolved with a simple action or conversation now feels like an insurmountable obstacle. The mind races, constantly searching for reassurance, but the more they search, the more they doubt. The reality is that the mind of an overthinker tends to amplify everything. It distorts the facts, exaggerates the possibilities, and increases the emotional weight of the situation. And this self-perpetuating loop is exhausting. The overthinker feels as if they're stuck in an emotional whirlwind, unable to escape the chaos of their own mind. What began as something minor now feels too big to handle. The doubt that once started as a flicker becomes a raging inferno of fear, uncertainty, and anxiety. The real danger in this is not the initial spark, but the unchecked power the mind gives it. It's in the failure to pause, step back, and put the situation into perspective. When overthinkers give too much focus to a small concern, they allow it to grow into something it doesn't need to be. The key to breaking this cycle is learning how to recognize when the spark is just a spark and not letting the mind blow it into a wildfire. It's about choosing to calm the flames, to find clarity amidst the noise, and to remind yourself that not every thought or worry deserves to be blown out of proportion. In the end, an overthinker must learn to control their mind before it controls them. Instead of letting a small spark consume their mental space, they must consciously choose not to fan the flames. When they do, they can prevent the wildfire of doubt from taking over, regaining the peace and clarity they deserve. Overthinking is a silent thief, stealing the most valuable aspects of your life, your peace, your productivity, and your purpose. When you overthink, your mind becomes trapped in an endless loop of second-guessing, analyzing, and replaying situations. It's like being stuck in a mental fog where clarity and calmness seem just out of reach. Peace slips away because your thoughts never rest. They're constantly racing, creating scenarios, worrying about outcomes, and obsessing over things that may never happen. Instead of feeling calm and in control, you feel anxious, restless, and overwhelmed. This mental noise also robs you of productivity. Overthinking turns simple decisions into monumental tasks. You spend so much time debating your next move, analyzing every detail, and imagining all the possible outcomes that you forget to actually take action. What could have been accomplished in moments stretches into hours, and before you know it, you're stuck in a cycle of inaction. The energy you could use to create, solve, or build is wasted on doubts and fears. Overthinking doesn't help you move forward, it paralyzes you, making even the smallest tasks feel insurmountable. Perhaps the most devastating theft is that of your purpose. Overthinking clouds your vision, pulling you away from what truly matters. Instead of focusing on your goals and the bigger picture, you get lost in the details, the what-ifs, and the unnecessary worries. Purpose requires clarity and conviction, but overthinking creates hesitation and uncertainty. It distracts you from pursuing what's meaningful, keeping you trapped in the trivial and the temporary. It disconnects you from the passion and drive that give your life direction, replacing them with endless self-doubt. In the end, overthinking is a cycle that takes without giving back. It steals your peace, leaving you with anxiety. It takes your productivity, leaving you stuck. And it drains your sense of purpose, leaving you feeling aimless. The only way to break free is to recognize its grip and choose to let go of the unnecessary thoughts, the endless analysis, and the fear of the unknown. When you stop overthinking, you reclaim your peace, rediscover your productivity, and reconnect with your purpose. Freedom from overthinking begins when you take the courageous step to trust yourself in the process of life. Overthinking thrives on doubt in your abilities, your decisions, and the path ahead. It's the voice in your head that questions every move, second-guesses every choice, and fears every unknown. But the antidote to this mental chaos is trust in your capacity to handle whatever comes your way, trust in your intuition to guide you, and trust in the journey that unfolds, even when it's unclear. When you learn to trust yourself, you silence the inner critic that feeds your overthinking. You begin to believe that you are capable of making the right decisions, not because you're perfect, but because you're adaptable and resilient. Trusting yourself means accepting that mistakes are part of the process, not evidence of failure. It's about knowing that even if you stumble, you have the strength to rise again. This trust in your own ability creates a sense of inner calm, allowing you to focus on the present moment instead of obsessing over every possible misstep. Trusting the process is equally liberating. Life is unpredictable, and overthinking often stems from a desire to control outcomes that are beyond your reach. But when you trust the process, you let go of the need to have all the answers right now. You begin to understand that some things take time to unfold, and not every detail needs to be analyzed or controlled. Trusting the process means embracing uncertainty and believing that, with patience and persistence, things will align as they should. This shift in mindset doesn't mean abandoning careful thought or planning. It means recognizing when enough is enough, when you've done what you can, and it's time to let go. It means stepping away from the constant mental noise and choosing faith over fear. Trusting yourself in the process isn't about guaranteeing a smooth journey, it's about finding peace in knowing that you can navigate whatever comes your way. As you build this trust, you'll notice the grip of overthinking begin to loosen. The endless what-ifs will fade, replaced by a sense of confidence and clarity. You'll stop wasting energy on things you can't control and start focusing on what truly matters. And in that freedom, you'll discover the strength, peace, and joy that come from letting go and living fully. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how much you plan or prepare, you can't control everything that happens. Circumstances will arise that catch you off guard, situations you didn't foresee, challenges you didn't ask for, and setbacks that seem unfair. But while you can't dictate what life throws at you, you hold an incredible power, the ability to choose how you respond. Your response is your strength, your anchor, and ultimately your defining factor. When you focus on what you can't control, you give your energy to frustration and helplessness. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when the world doesn't align with your expectations. But shifting your perspective changes everything. Instead of dwelling on what's out of your hands, ask yourself, what can I do in this moment? Your response becomes the one thing you own, the constant in a sea of uncertainty. Responding with calm and clarity, even in the face of chaos, is an act of empowerment. It means refusing to let external circumstances dictate your peace of mind. When something goes wrong, you can choose to panic or to adapt. When someone treats you unfairly, you can choose anger or grace. When a door closes, you can choose despair or determination. The situation doesn't control you, your reaction does. Controlling your response doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or ignoring difficulties. It means acknowledging what's happening while deciding not to let it define you. It's about pausing, taking a breath, and choosing an action that aligns with your values and goals rather than reacting impulsively. This practice of mindful response transforms challenges into opportunities for growth. Over time, this mindset builds resilience. It teaches you that while you can't avoid hardship, you can navigate it with strength and wisdom. It shows you that peace isn't about having a perfect life, it's about maintaining your center no matter the storm. When you control your response, you reclaim your power, reminding yourself that you're not a victim of circumstance, you're the author of your story. And in every challenge, big or small, you can choose to respond with courage, kindness, and resolve. That choice, above all, is what defines your character and shapes your destiny. In the end, overthinking is not a life sentence, it's a habit that can be unlearned. The freedom you seek begins with a choice to trust yourself, to trust the process, and to embrace the present moment. You may not control every situation life throws at you, but you always have control over your response. When you shift your focus from fear to faith, from problems to solutions, and from doubt to action, you reclaim your peace, productivity, and purpose. Remember, your thoughts don't define you, your actions do. Life is too precious to spend it trapped in the endless loops of overanalysis. Step out of the mental fog, trust your ability to navigate the journey, and live boldly. Because the world doesn't wait for overthinkers, it rewards those who dare to act. Choose clarity, choose courage, and choose freedom. It's time to let go and